Vodafone steering and his brother now.
The ninth round of the Formula 1 season heads us over to Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix, and there's a lot of news that has broken out, so let's get straight into it and dive into it. Firstly, then, McLaren have announced a new 2-year deal with Vodafone as major sponsors for their team. Of course, McLaren reunited with Vodafone at the start of last season, and depending on the results, Vodafone would then consider extending their sponsorship deal with McLaren into a new season, which of course, as you can see, they have done. With the continued success of McLaren continuing to grow, and with 2 world champions in their team, Vodafone have announced that they are happy to sign a new 2-year deal with McLaren, which has been accepted. But what has been confusing is what Vodafone were demanding in the deal to keep the sponsorship going. In the deal, Vodafone have now demanded that every single McLaren team personnel is to switch phone networks to run Vodafone networking. This is quite a strange thing to do, and they're not even going to be free. So as soon as the McLaren team move to the Vodafone network, they still won't have to pay Vodafone money for the deal. It's very, very confusing. Many team members are absolutely furious with this demand and don't see why they can just stick with their own phone networks and why they need to bother changing their networks when in some areas for most of these team members, the Vodafone network doesn't even work properly in their own place. And we thought it would just be team members that would just be furious with this and it would be brushed aside. But in the media briefing about this, both Tom and Sam have attacked Vodafone over their demands, saying it's outrageous and stupid, and if they want to be title sponsors, then that's fine, but if they want to take over the team, then do something else about it. They are really, really not happy with this, and Vodafone don't seem to be brushing aside with their demands. They are keeping to what they want. They want everyone to run Vodafone networks for their mobiles. Now, as we're going to go over into the race news then for this weekend, so McLaren once again were dominant in practice. The Hockenheim circuit very much suiting their car, especially in Sector 2 and Sector 3. McLaren say they still need to be wary of Mercedes, especially in the first sector where the straight line speed really comes into its own. Audi have made major engine upgrades for this weekend and look to be a lot more competitive in race trim. They say in qualifying they don't really have any extra engine boosts to help them out in qualifying, but in the race they think that they can use a little bit more to really press on with that. Valtteri Bottas is excited for this weekend for Williams as they make a minor ERS upgrade, but Bottas believes it's actually a major ERS upgrade and he feels that he can use his boost a lot more often and is very happy with what has been done. Teams are then once again unsure if the one-stop or the two-stop strategy is going to be quicker for them around this circuit, and we'll just have to wait and find out. But in speaking of that, let's get straight into it then. It's time for round number 9, the German Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys? It is Fox98 here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 Journey for you guys today here on the channel. Today we're here for round number 9, which is the German Grand Prix, and we're going to get straight on into our qualifying session then. So as you can see then, on our first flying lap here, we've got Daniel Ricciardo in front of us, and it kind of put me off a little bit. Had a little bit of trouble on the lap itself, but we were only a tenth of a second off in Noah James, which was promising, and I felt really, really comfortable around here as Reese goes and sets the fastest lap time. Now, as we go on to our second flying lap here, once again, into this sector last corner, I just got a little bit too much onto the curb there. I still gained a lot of time from my previous lap here, and we crossed the line to go second place, a tenth of a second behind Sam. And so far, qualifying is looking amazing. But we're going to ride on board now for the entirety of my final lap. I'm going to shut up because I just felt like it was absolutely perfect. So I'll let you guys watch the lap. So there we go, guys. It is pole position for the German Grand Prix, and normally I don't show my final 4 laps a lot of the times because there's loads of like screen freezes most of the time, but that lap, luckily, there was no real screen freezes, and it just felt like the perfect lap. I just don't think I could have got any more out of the car, and we get pole position, and it's a McLaren front row lockout with Sam alongside me on the front row of the grid. The second row is full of Mercedes-Benz with Reese and Lewis Hamilton lining up on the second row of the grid, and the third row of the grid is an all-Ferrari third row with Charles Leclerc out-qualifying Noah James, and the next row of the grid is an all-Red Bull grid, fourth row with Mason Wood and Lando Norris next up, and oh no, the trend's broken. Verstappen qualifies in P9 ahead of Devon Butler in P10. Then into P11, it's George Russell ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, so Audi and Jaguar mixing it up with each other, and then Ricciardo and Ocon, P13 and P14 on the grid. I swear that's where they always qualify. It's quite creepy. Pierre Gasly qualifies in P16 ahead of Valtteri Bottas in 16th place for Williams. 17th and 18th is Pascal Wehrlein and Nico Rosberg, and on the back row of the grid is going to be Weber and Sainz, or should I say Sainz and Weber respectively. So there is our starting grid for today's race, and as you can see, it's going to be a 2-stop race going from a set of the ultra soft tyres to 2 sets of soft tyres and taking it to the end of the Grand Prix. So here we go then, we are on the grid now to start this German Grand Prix off. Here we go then, so we've got 4, now 5 red lights here, and it is lights out. Here we go here to start the German Grand Prix. It's been a good start for us actually, a good start as well for Lewis Hamilton in 4th place there as he going towards the first corner. Sam has to cover off Lewis Hamilton there. Hamilton's gone straight off into the barriers there, so Lewis Hamilton, a disastrous start for him early on in this Grand Prix as we now lead the Grand Prix, and we've got a massive lead already out front as Sam now is in 2nd place, Reese is in 3rd, and yeah, Lewis Hamilton then goes straight into the barriers. Let's hope that he can carry on his way, but he's going to have a long race ahead of him now as we watch on board with Reese, who's got a perfect slipstream now alongside Sam as they go in towards the hairpin now. Reese goes around the outside of Sam. Sam holds on to the inside line here as we now begin to pull away out front as Sam tries to defend his position against Reese. He's got the exit though, but Reese has got better straight line speed in the Mercedes-Benz, around into the Mercedes-Benz grandstand. Reese goes into 2nd place in the German Grand Prix. A great start for him. Now we're going to have a look back on board with Hamilton here and see what happens. So in towards turn 1, he just tried to go, oh, it's a bit of a strange, oh, he's out of the Grand Prix. It wasn't even just a front wing failure. It completely ripped off the front right suspension there, and he is out of this race. That's such an unfortunate accident. It's quite a strange one as well, in fact, to be honest. He should have backed off a little bit more, in fairness to him. He sort of just let the car drift wide here, but carrying on board though with the scrap between Sam and Reese. Sam does get back past Reese in this race, but Reese then is going to just tuck into the slipstream and just keep his foot flat to the floor, and Sam will unfortunately have nothing to answer for as our McLaren car is just not as quick as Mercedes-Benz in a straight line, and Reese there regains 2nd place. There's a little bit of a train now forming as up front we're not exactly pulling away massively, but what we are doing is just maintaining that gap and looking after the car as we have a look here at Daniel Ricciardo now fighting one of the Williams cars here in the Renault. So it's not been a good start for Ricciardo then. He's already been overtaken by one of the Williams cars. He's a long way down the order, in fact, and he manages to hold on in there, but not for very much longer as we ride back on board then with the 2nd Williams car now of Daniel Ricciardo here. It's going to attack that Williams car, so Ocon now has dropped down the order a little bit, and now Ricciardo is the one that's flying up the order. So a little bit of changes going on here between all of these drivers at the back of the field, and I was noticing this bit of a scrap. We've got one of the Porsche cars there of, I think it's Nico Rosberg, is attacking Ocon. I think it's actually past Ocon. He has got past him indeed, yes. So now we're going back to the front of the field though as Sam has got the DRS on Reese going in towards turn 3. Reese covers the inside line. Sam has to go around the outside, and Reese there just about holds off the attack from Sam, but Sam will keep the inside line into the next corner. Onto the straight they go. These two are having an absolutely sensational scrap here, but annoyingly for Sam, it's Reese that has the DRS, and look at the straight line speed that he's got in the Mercedes-Benz. There's nothing Sam can do, and again, I'm just managing the gap out front, not being troubled by Reese just yet, but I am very wary of that threat that Reese can pose. And on to the end of lap 5 to start lap 6, we're coming in for our first stop of the Grand Prix to get off the ultra soft tyres and to flip the soft tyres and get us to the end of the Grand Prix. So in we come now for our first of 2 stops and getting everything slowed down. Reese obviously will be coming in behind. Hopefully he gets held in the pit slightly by what looks to be quite a few cars coming in there. So we should be able to stay in front of him as we strap on the set of the soft tyres now, and off we go out of the pits and going to be behind the Porsche car of Pascal Wehrlein then, in front of the Williams car, but I think it's Lucas Weber that's behind me, and then Pascal Wehrlein who is in front of me. So we've got a little bit of a scrap here actually between one of the Renault cars, I believe it's Ocon, and then Sainz in the Ford. So let's see what goes on between these two then as they blast their way now onto the straight here. Both are going to have DRS, so it's literally just going to be a power of who's got better straight line speed, and it looks like Ocon is the one with his engine mode turned up as Reese now goes straight for the attack then on Sainz, wasting little time as he's rejoined behind 3 cars compared to me. So Reese has got more traffic to deal with in this phase of the Grand Prix, and that's big for us. There we are. We've actually passed the Williams car. No, we were never actually behind him in the first place. But we're in front of this Williams car. Reese now has got to pass Sainz, Weber, I believe it is, and then also Ocon. For us, though, we're now very close to the back of Pascal Wehrlein, nearly going into the back of him there, as we now try and navigate our way through the traffic and make sure that none of the top drivers can catch up to us. By looking at the mini-map there, I think Reese has actually managed to get himself past the Williams car, so he's up a position now. For us, though, we're getting past Pascal Wehrlein nice and easily, and going in towards the hairpin now. That is us up into 6th place now, as we look a little bit behind here. Sam now is having a go at Esteban Ocon here for what is going to be 8th place in the Grand Prix, and Sam, by performing the overcut, has actually got past Reese there. So Sam now is up into a net P2, as we've got a great scrap here between the 2 Red Bulls of Wood and Norris, and it's Norris that stays in front of Wood on that occasion. As we now go on to board with ourselves here, we're fighting Rosberg for P5, but that's a critical one there. We've also just set the fastest lap of the race so far at a 1:13.0, and yeah, Sam, that's a big one for him, as one of the cars in the background there, it looks like one of the 4 cars has got an issue, as we're now attacking Nico Rosberg. I can see in the background there, Sam's attacking Pascal Wehrlein, so we're both going for it here versus these Porsche cars, and we should be able to dispatch with them quite easily, and we do so. We go down the inside of Rosberg, go a little bit deep on the brakes, but it's alright, it's not too damaging there, as Reese and Esteban Ocon now are going to be fighting away into this fight, and obviously if Reese can pass Ocon now, it's going to get him closer to the back of Sam, and he might just get a run on him now as we go in towards there. There's a little carbon fiber come off. Which end plate has that come from? It's come from Reese's end plate. So again, Reese has suffered with front wing damage, and he's going to have to suffer with a major loss of downforce now in this Grand Prix, and he'll probably have to stop for a new front wing here. So that's disastrous news for Reese, who's making his way up the field, and Ocon now does surrender the position to Reese, but Reese there has lost critical amounts of time, and you can pretty much rule him out of the equation for getting anywhere near us now with a lack of front wing downforce. And of course, he's only really staying in front of Sam because he had better straight line speed. Apart from that, Sam clearly had the quicker car, as we're now right back on board with ourselves here. We're onto the back of Bottas and Ricciardo for 4th and 3rd. And yeah, a bit of a shout out to Valtteri Bottas here as Ricciardo is trying to make a move on him here, and there's a bit of contact actually between Ricciardo and Bottas. We're trying to set ourselves up for an attack on Ricciardo here. This is why I want to try and get past both of them if we possibly can, and that's what we're going to try here. And so you now go towards the inside line, Ricciardo does. We're going to go towards the outside of the left-hand kink, but take the inside for the hairpin. We get past Bottas. Now we're going to fake towards the outside of Daniel Ricciardo for the hairpin as we go around the outside here, and then we should be able to get the better traction there with our fresh soft tyres, and that's exactly what we get. And we're up now into 3rd place in this Grand Prix, and next up the road is George Russell. It's actually Hulkenberg, my man. It's Nico Hulkenberg in the Jaguar, as we managed to dispatch of those two quite comfortably. Meanwhile, back on board with Reese, and things are not going well with that damage to the front wing, as he's got Charles Leclerc and Noah James all over the back of him here. In fact, Charles Leclerc with a much better run through there should be able to get this position. Reese does have DRS, which should be able to help him out, and in fact, he's doing a great job of helping him out. Noah, though, is sticking very nicely in the slipstream here. He goes towards the inside. This is going to get close. We've seen Ferraris go side by side, and it's not ended well in the past, so let's hope it doesn't end badly this time around. But again, it is going to be a nice simple piece of driving there from Noah James, who really does capitalize very well versus Leclerc. Leclerc actually has just lost the position to Ocon in the background there, so Leclerc going backwards, whereas Noah is going forwards, and that's another overtake for Noah James just about there around the outside in towards the stadium section. Lovely overtake, and back on board now a lap later with Charles Leclerc. Now he's going to make his way past Reese, so Leclerc eventually gets past him, as Noah in the foreground there is attacking Pascal Wehrlein, and we're going to look on board with that now as Leclerc's overtake on Reese is done and dusted. It's all about what Pascal Wehrlein can do against Noah James here as they go in towards the Mercedes-Benz grandstand section. Looks like Pascal Wehrlein's got the edge, and he does so. So fair play to him as we now go back on board with Pascal, who's once again doing some more defending here, but this time it's against Charles Leclerc, because somewhere in there Noah has lost out, and Leclerc now is the lead driving the Ferrari. This is a great scrap here, and Pascal Wehrlein showing no form of remorse here, even though that he's on a completely different strategy around the outside in towards the stadium section, and that is Leclerc's overtake done and dusted. And speaking of overtakes, we're now going to go on board with Sam here, who, well, shoves Bottas completely off the circuit there. Sam showing no form of respect there to Valtteri Bottas. He's trying to get on with it in this Grand Prix, as am I. We're now onto the back of George Russell here on lap 12 of the Grand Prix, and we go a little bit wide on the exit there, catching the grass. That was really, really close there. We could have easily lost the car and spun into the barriers there, so we're going to be fortunate on that front and just need to be careful when attacking. But the closing speed here on George Russell is mega as we go down the inside of George. We go a little bit deep on the brakes there. We still manage to make the corner, but George Russell, in fairness to him, does manage to maintain position. But we are going to now close up here as we open up our engine power here, and we get past George Russell for second place in the Grand Prix. Next up the road is going to be Hulkenberg for the lead. So Hulkenberg managed to overtake George Russell. Now we're going to try and overtake George. So that is the plan. And here is Nico Hulkenberg now in P1, and we're on lap 14 now of this Grand Prix. And there you can see in the on the minimap there is Sam in front of the Williams car. So he's now got Ricciardo next to pass, and then he's obviously going to be onto the back of these two as we set this first sector of the race so far. We're just literally closing up to the back of Hulkenberg, closing. Going to dive it down the inside of Hulkenberg. Another late braking maneuver, again a little bit deep on the brakes, but this time around Hulkenberg didn't quite get the exit that George Russell did, or he pretty much didn't quite get the corner correctly, and he just gave us that overtake there. So we take the position now. We're up into the lead of the German Grand Prix, and we can now start to drive away in this race as the other rivals make their way through the rest of the traffic. Sam, meanwhile, is making justice of all of that as he passes Daniel Ricciardo now for what is going to be, I believe this is going to be 4th place in the race. As Ricciardo, though, still fancies having a look at Sam, and of course he's going to have the DRS on this straight here, so Sam's not out of the woods just yet versus Daniel Ricciardo. It's close enough that he could go for it here, and he does have the DRS. So let's see now as we go onto the straight here. Sam should be opening up the taps. Ricciardo's got fantastic closing speeds here. He goes towards the outside line, and wow, he just absolutely breezed past in the Renault there. So great stuff from Daniel Ricciardo. That is him up now in front of Sam once again. Of course, Ricciardo does have to stop again, and it's just not helping Sam out in any sort of way. As we now go on board here with the two new boys in Formula 1, Mason Woods and Noah James going for a little bit of a scrap here. Charles Leclerc just in front of this lot now. So let's see how this unfolds then. Noah James there gets better traction on the exit compared to what Mason Wood got, and that's him fully in front. We're now going a little bit behind here, and Reese is still fighting away. He's fighting Lando Norris here, but unfortunately his course is not ready for much as he's still got that damage to his front wing end plate. They haven't stopped yet to do it. They're obviously going to try and do it in the second. Oh, that's a bit of contact there between Reese and Lando Norris through there. Reese going very optimistic down the inside there. He's clearly probably lost a little bit of temper there, and that's nearly an absolutely horrendous crash there. On to lap 19 of the Grand Prix now, and we're coming in for our second stop of the Grand Prix. It's a very comfortable Grand Prix so far for us. We're nearly 9 seconds clear of Sam, and we're going to be coming in for our stop first. Sam will come in a lap later, and then it's pretty much just taking the car home. A complete stark contrast to last season's German Grand Prix, where we went for the one-stop strategy and was defending for all our life, versus McLaren. On this occasion, we're in the McLaren and we're just having an absolute breeze. So we're coming in now, another set of soft tyres go on, and it's a 2.6 second pit stop, and that is us now up into, or down into second place. But of course, Sam is yet to stop for his second pit stop. Noah James pits behind us, and so does one of the Audi cars, I believe. So that's us now rejoining in second place on the grid, and yeah, pretty much just going to take the car on home as we now go in towards the stadium section here though, and yeah, we're coming through. Sam is going to be coming to the pits on the end of this lap here, as we now see a 9-second gap here. We turn in towards the stadium section, a little bit of wheel goes onto the gravel, and that's our race done and dusted, literally straight like that. And that is what happens when you, well, lose a bit of concentration. Here's another look at it here. So as we're going towards the stadium section, we just go in a little bit wide. We just don't really turn enough. I underestimated how much grip I thought I had. I thought I had loads of grip that I could just make it nice and easily there. And just like that, in a race that we were absolutely dominating, we've just crashed out of the German Grand Prix and thrown away an easy race victory there. So, yeah, as we now have a look at the full race results, a very abrupt ending to the Grand Prix. Sam then inherits the win for the German Grand Prix. He wins the race with the McLaren team. George Russell manages to pick up second place for Audi with a great result, and Devin Butler finishes P3 for Audi, so it's a double podium for them today. Noah James finishes in P4 ahead of Charles Leclerc in P5, so Ferrari picking up a strong result today. Mason Woods finishes just in front of Reese then, so Reese recovered to P7. Fair play to Valtteri Bottas though, he finishes the race in P8 for Williams, the worst car on the grid, and Valtteri Bottas managed to scrape an 8th place finish. Lando Norris finishes down in P9 with Daniel Ricciardo in P10 for Renault. Sam set the fastest lap of the race in the Grand Prix and takes the bonus point with a 1 minute 12.397. Looking at the second half of the grid then, Gasly finishes in 11th for Ford, just misses out on the points ahead of Nico Rosberg in the Porsche. Max Verstappen finishes in P13 with Pascal Wehrlein in P14. Lucas Weber finishes in P15 ahead of Esteban Ocon. And then 4 drivers didn't finish in today's race. Lewis Hamilton, first of all, didn't even complete one corner before he crashed out. Carlos Sainz had an issue just after the first round of pit stops. Nico Hulkenberg, unfortunately, DNF for Jaguar. And then again, our DNF for McLaren, and it's one of those ones where it's like you know, when I went onto the grass versus George Russell, I could have easily lost the car and broken my front wing or suspension there. On that occasion, I was lucky, and then going through the stadium section, it was just a lack of concentration, really. I was sort of, you know, it was such an easy race for me that, you know, I wasn't, you know, fully with it, you could say, you know. And people always say, you know, it's, you know, when you're leading out front from start to finish, you know, it's boring, but, you know, you still have to maintain that concentration, because if you lose concentration, like unfortunately I did, you get your wheel onto the gravel, and that's it, you're gone. That's it. Let's go and have a look then at the Drivers' Championship and see how that's changed then. We're still at the top of the Drivers' Championship on 157 points, but Sam now has taken second place in the championship. He's now 124 points, which does mean, if my maths is correct, that gap is 33 points at the top of the championship. Reese then is third with a 123 points. He's still well and truly in there in the race for the championship hunt, but with that problem with the front wing and Sam taking the win, Reese unfortunately loses out. Lewis Hamilton is fourth in the championship on 94 points, again failing to score today. Noah James remains in P5 for Ferrari. Mason Wood jumps up to P6 then for Red Bull. He is now on 59 points. Charles Leclerc is down in P7 there with 54 points. Lando Norris in P8 with 49 points, closely followed by George Russell, who's on 47 points. Again, a brilliant second place for him today, moves him to 9th in the championship, and then Max Verstappen stays in 10th in the Drivers' Championship, but he's only got 29 points to his name, and the next time we'll be going to the British Grand Prix. But looking at the Constructors' Championship now, McLaren are on 281 points and maintain their strong lead versus Mercedes on 217 points. Ferrari are now up to 123 points, with Red Bull now on 108 points. The next team has crossed the 100-point barrier. Audi, though, are now posing a major threat. They're on 72 points and are closing up to Red Bull, and may even threaten Ferrari if they can continue those type of performances. Renault are on 51 points in the championship, so they've dropped behind Audi now after they re-overtook them from the last race. Jaguar are on 38 points. They don't score anything today, and Ford then are on 12 points with Porsche on 10. Williams are now up to 5 points and are catching Porsche now, so could Williams move off the bottom of the table and get in front of Porsche? But now, with all the Drivers' Championships said and done, we're now going to have a look at the post-race notebook and see what the teams and drivers had to say after today's race. First of all, Tom has blamed a stupid lack of concentration for his crash, which obviously ultimately cost him the race victory. Tom says that unfortunately he took too many risks that were completely unnecessary. He said that he got away with his move with George Russell when he got onto the grass, and unfortunately when he went onto the gravel, that was it. He said it was a clumsy error, and it's something that he needs to look at, as that could well and truly twist the championship out of his favour. Audi were delighted with a double podium finish here today, with George Russell picking up a great P2 and then Devon Butler picking up P3. George Russell took advantage of the one-stop strategy to capitalise and finish in P2, whereas Devon Butler maximised the two-stop strategy and Audi did a great job. Sam was very happy to take the race win, but was still concerned about his pace versus Tom. As obviously Tom crashed out of the race, Sam obviously took advantage as he was the man in P2. But if you had to look at the race weekend itself, Tom managed to claim pole position. He was setting the faster laps and didn't have an opportunity to set fastest lap as he obviously crashed out of the Grand Prix. He was able to then maintain the gap over Sam and built nearly a 10-second lead before he crashed out. Sam says that he still needs to look at this, as despite the fact he takes this race win, he still needs to up his pace if he's going to beat Tom. And Valtteri Bottas shines with an excellent P8 finish. He was very, very strong and competitive, and he managed to take home a great points finish for Williams, which could prove to help them out in their fight against Porsche. But there we go, guys. That is going to be everything for the F1 journey for today. If you guys have enjoyed it, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. Next time around, we're going to be heading over to Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys can tune in then, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care all. Peace.